According to a 2010 study by McCormick and Matuzits, there are more than 28 million people in America that have some sort of hearing loss. And that number is projected to rise to almost 78 million by the year 2030. So I want to ask, do any of you have hearing loss? Do you know someone with hearing loss? Do you have MP3 players? Have you been to a concert? What I'm trying to get at is that listening to personal media players and going to concerts can have hazardous levels of sound levels, and that can cause hearing loss, which can have negative effects later in your life. So, again, personal media players have hazardous levels of hearing, or of sound. A 2007 study by Fogel and others showed that 54.4% of teenagers studied had listened to personal media players at a hazardous level of sound. And in a 2010 report by McCormick and Matuzits, the average level of loudness that average users put on their personal media players was between 75 and 105 decibels, which is a lot compared to the 85 decibel threshold of hazardous hearing. So, again, personal media players can have a hazardous level of sound, and therefore they can be dangerous. In fact, that same 2007 study by Fogel showed that 30% of people who listen to their personal media players at this high level experienced either muffled sounds, temporary hearing loss, or tinnitus, which is like a ringing in the ears. But this number was 30% for personal media player listeners. That number jumped to 61.2% of people who went to a concert or a club. And I'm just going to show you a little bit of what tinnitus can sound like. There's three just different estimates of some things that tinnitus can sound like. So personal media players and going to concerts can have hazardous levels of hearing or of sound, which can cause hearing loss, even if it's just temporary. But if you listen to it enough, it will become permanent. Some negative effects of permanent hearing loss are that it can have a negative effect on your salary, actually. A 2012 study by Jung and Bhattacharya said that adults with hearing loss earned an average of around $23,000 per year, whereas normal adults earn around $31,000 per year. And that's an $8,000 difference in salary, in your annual salary. A more extreme example is a 2007 study by Kochkin that showed that people with the most detrimental hearing loss can expect to earn up to $12,000 less per year than those with the mildest hearing loss. And that can be shown also here in this graph. This shows your annual income as compared to the severity of your hearing loss. And as you can see, it's a negative relationship. The worse your hearing loss is, the worse you're making, or the less money you're making. And the red is actually people with hearing aids, the black is people without. So even if you have hearing loss, having a hearing aid can actually help your salary. Another negative effect of hearing loss is a psychological and health effect. There's a 1999 survey by the National Council on Aging that showed that it was a survey of seniors and adults older than 50, and the people who had hearing loss were more likely to report depression, anxiety, and paranoia than those without hearing loss. And in the same study by McCormick and Matuzits I've mentioned earlier, they said that hearing loss can cause anxiety, depression, social isolation, social paranoia, reduced medical health, and problems with cognitive functioning. So hearing loss can have a negative effect not only on your hearing, but on your psychological health later in life. So personal media players and going to concerts can have hazardous levels of hearings that may cause hearing loss. And this hearing loss can have a negative effect later in life. So I suggest and hope that you guys will, when you go to concerts and when you listen to your MP3 players, that you turn the volume down or wear earbuds or reduce the amount of time you're there. So just as a conclusion, wearing these earbuds may lead to wearing these hearing aids.